Hey guys, so today we have some very, very interesting drama. It feels like a Netflix movie, actually. I just want to know what you guys think about it. So subscribe, hit the bell, like, comment for engagement, and let's just get into it. Today's video is actually very kindly sponsored by NordVPN, and right now you can get a huge discount on a 2-year plan with 4 additional months completely free if you go on nordvpn.com/Angelika Oles. Like always, completely risk-free with a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you can go check it out if you click the link in the description. NordVPN is obviously a VPN service that allows you to connect to a bunch of countries around the world, as well as just protect your internet data, mainly when you're in public, because that is when your data is the most at risk. I mainly use a VPN to access different content around the world. With Netflix and all the other streaming platforms constantly hiking up prices, I feel like literally every month I get a new email saying, hey, your prices are going to go up this month. I feel like I'm trying to get the most out of my streaming services, and that's where NordVPN comes in. I can basically connect to any country around the world, refresh my Netflix homepage, and get a bunch of new content to watch, which is incredible. But also, I feel like there are some country-locked things that no one has access to. Like, for example, my American viewers probably don't have access to Love Island when I do, and the UK Love Island is the best Love Island. And so you can just click over to the UK, watch the Love Island at the same time as us, which is so fun. Now, obviously, there are also security reasons why you might want to get NordVPN. For example, it protects you from malicious sites, downloads, malware, trackers, intrusive ads. So you should just always have your VPN turned on, even if you're not connecting to a different country. Like I said, it's completely risk-free. There is a 30-day money-back guarantee. There is also 24/7 customer service support, so you can get help anytime you need with anything. There's a strict no-logs policy, so your information is completely safe, which is the whole point of NordVPN. And there are thousands of servers around the world that you can pick from, so the options are endless. And you also don't need to pay for multiple accounts to use across multiple devices, so you can connect up to 6 devices on just one account, and that makes it super easy to protect your phone, your laptop, your tablet, and anything else. So like I said, go on nordvpn.com/Angelika Oles and you'll get a huge discount on a 2-year plan with 4 additional months completely free. Now let's get back into the tea. So this is following a TikToker called sweetgrace.sa with 300,000 followers. She's basically a cake business, and she does do cakes for weddings, which is how this whole story starts, right? She posts some TikToks essentially exposing a wedding coordinator for scamming a groom and a bride. That was a lot of a mouthful for me to get through.
So I have a bride reach out to me, or who I thought was a bride, and we're gonna call her Miranda for the purpose of this video. She submits an inquiry form for her wedding. I get back to her, I quote her on what she asked me for. She says that she would love to move forward with a tasting. She signs up for the tasting. She puts the tasting under Miranda, and the person that comes to pick the tasting up, the only thing that they have to tell me is the first and last name of the person who ordered. So the person who came to pick the tasting up said it was for Miranda. I just assumed that the person picking up was Miranda. I don't know whether it was or not still. I've asked that question now. They pick the tasting up, they love the tasting. I give them the official quote, they accept it, and I receive payment. I received payment under the name Miranda. It's important to note that I also have all my brides fill out a bridal contract, and that bridal contract allows you to list the primary contact person, the secondary contact person, and the wedding coordinator or planner contact information. The primary contact person was listed as Miranda, and the wedding coordinator section was listed as none, which is an option because a lot of my brides don't have them, and that's fine. I get to the venue to deliver the wedding cake. I'm in the middle of setting it up. The bride's mom approaches me, and she's flustered but like kind, and she says she feels like they paid way too much money for what I've given them. I let her know that I did give them an itemized invoice as well as an itemized quote. She says they never saw one, they paid Miranda direct. So I'm at the venue with the bride's mom. I'm setting up the desserts. She's upset because she feels like she paid too much, and I'm setting up a large dessert table and a large tiered cake, so it is a lot of dessert. I charged $2,500 for this order to this person, Miranda, who at this point I'm assuming is a wedding coordinator, and she basically booked all of the services for the bride on behalf of the bride for the wedding, so the bride didn't have to plan anything. So I finally asked the mom, the bride's mom, would you be comfortable sharing what you paid? Y'all, the bride paid $7,500 for the desserts. I charged Miranda $2,500. That is a $5,000 upcharge for her basically booking them with me. And then the bride's mom mentions that they also had tipped $500 to the cake person. I didn't get it.
She charged the bride and the groom $2,500 for her cakes and all the stuff around it, right? And then turns out that the bride and the groom were charged $7,500 plus a tip that was supposed to be for her that she never received. That was going to be $500, okay? So that's overcharging by $5,500 by this wedding coordinator. Now, apparently the standard in the industry is 10%. So the wedding coordinator will take 10% on top of everything. So then obviously from 2,500, that would have just been $250, not 5,500, which is a lot. And so she was dealing with the bride's mum in the emails. And the mum of the bride also mentions in the emails that the cake person left early, but they were supposed to stay for the whole time, which she was not made aware of by the wedding coordinator. Apparently the wedding coordinator was supposed to let everyone know to stay, all the vendors to stay for the whole time. They didn't, and that's why the mum of the bride wanted some of that money back, because she obviously didn't get the service that she was promised by the wedding coordinator, but the wedding coordinator wasn't communicating, I guess, with the cake lady. Also, there was a situation with obviously the cake image of the couple, which was actually the wedding coordinator and her partner, and not the actual bride and the groom.
I never got the $500 tip, whatever. And I asked the mom, I'm like, did you tip the other vendors? And she's like, this is my only daughter's wedding. We tipped each vendor $500. Like, we asked Miranda to distribute these tips. So I'm thinking she pocketed an additional like 10 grand in just tips. The mom then tells me that she's not even at the venue. She's been nowhere to be found. Because I assumed Miranda was the bride, I never got a day of timeline, but I wasn't worried about it because I was like, okay, the bride's just planning her own wedding. She doesn't have a coordinator. But knowing Miranda was the coordinator who charged all this money and I didn't get a day of timeline, that is like crazy to me. But the daughter is literally lining up to get married in the background of this conversation. I'm realizing this is also going to be a bigger issue. So I tell the mom, please go enjoy your daughter getting married. I'm going to set the desserts up. Here's my email. Please email me after the event is over. With all of that being said, I do have an email from the mother of the bride. As you know, things at my daughter's wedding were less than satisfactory. While the desserts were delicious, we as a whole do not feel they were worth the $7,500 we were charged for them. I understand that you charged Miranda $2,500 and she in turn charged us that along with an additional $5,000. We are prominent areas in the blank area, and while this isn't our area of expertise, we are consulting with our colleagues to see the best course of action moving forward. Miranda arrived to the last 1 hour of the wedding but wasn't present for any other portion, and after looking over her contract, it shows that this will happen when the vendors have agreed to cover her. Upon asking for further clarification from her, Miranda stated that all vendors should have been present on the premises until 5 p.m. when she arrived and that this was pre-discussed between you all. We have requested the camera footage from the venue, and it shows you left the venue at 3:23 p.m. We are in turn asking for the following: a copy of the invoice you provided Miranda with, a copy of the contract she signed for the dessert services, and a $500 good faith refund from you directly to us for the time you were not present at the venue that you should have been.
So we're all thinking that this wedding coordinator is scamming these couples from, you know, money and time and services, and then she's scamming the vendors from tips, and she's providing like pictures of herself to get gifts from these vendors instead of providing the pictures of the couple, and it's all just sounding very, very, very insane. So obviously the cake vendor communicates with the bride's mum, and she communicates with the coordinator and tries to figure out what's going on.
But what I can say and that I want to reiterate is that I had no idea what was going on. I had no way to know that Miranda was the coordinator and not the bride. She completed all of the inquiries and all of the contracts as if she was the bride. She attended the tasting as if she was the bride. She pretended to be the bride, essentially. So I had no way of knowing until I arrived to the venue and spoke with the mother of the bride that she indeed was the coordinator and not the bride. I know many of you are questioning like why I charged so much or why I let this happen. I had no idea. She completed everything as if she was the bride. She also did something very strange. I have had coordinators book my services for brides. That's happened and that's normal in the wedding industry. But she did something that no one has ever done, which on my bridal contract where it says to upload your favorite picture for a small bridal gift from me, if a coordinator completes this, normally, always, the coordinator will put in a picture of the bride and groom because it's supposed to be a gift from me to the bride and groom. Well, when I got to the venue, I normally hand this gift to the coordinator because they'll make sure that it goes with the bride and groom's like getaway bag or whatever they call it. And so when I got to the venue, there was no coordinator there, and the mother of the bride came up and introduced herself. And before I knew she had an issue with the desserts, I handed her the gift and I was like, oh, you know, there's not a coordinator on site. Could you just make sure this gets to your daughter and your future son-in-law? And she looked at me and was like, what the heck is this? Well, it turns out Miranda put in a picture of her and her partner as the bride and groom. So instead of being able to create a gift as a thank you for the bride and groom, I created a gift for Miranda and her partner, which like is so weird. That's just so weird.
It seems that I've gotten everyone very invested in this whole thing, so I'm gonna read my response to the mother of the bride. Thank you for reaching out. I'm happy to hear the desserts I provided were enjoyed. I have attached to the requested invoice and contract. I will not be providing anything further as far as monetary refunds and or copies of exchanges between Miranda and I. It is unfortunate how this situation has unfolded, but as Miranda was the one who completed my contracts and paid me, my obligation is to her. It is evident in the invoice what she paid for my services, as well as an itemized list of the dessert types and quantities I was able to create and deliver. I have also attached pictures of all the desserts that are individually numbered, so you are able to see exactly how many of each dessert was provided and that it matches the invoice. I know you mentioned previously that you are prominent lawyers, and it is my hope that your knowledge of the law will further help to inform you on how best to move forward with Miranda. On my end, moving forward, I will keep communication about this event between Miranda and I. I wish you and your family all the best and hope you are able to resolve this matter. Thank you. Okay, here's what I sent to Miranda, which this would be my first communication with her since she submitted final payment to me, which is standard for brides. I normally don't hear from them. They submit final payment, we finalize all of our details, and then I literally try to not hear from them, like to not reach out to them or bother them anytime after a month before their wedding, because it's crazy and I want them to enjoy their day and I want them to be sure that I'm going to just show up, set the desserts up exactly as I promised, and everything's going to be on time and yummy, and I'm going to leave, and that's going to be that. So I have not heard from her since she submitted final payment and we went over final details, so here it is. Miranda, as I'm sure you are aware, things with the blank wedding were less than satisfactory. It is my understanding you charged them an additional $5,000 on top of what the desserts should have cost. Additionally, you retained a $500 tip that was meant for me and informed the family I was to remain on the premises until 5 o'clock per your contract to cover you. I have not received any tip from you. After reading through your contract, it doesn't say anywhere that I was to remain on the premises for any set amount of time. I also have communication from me to you discussing what time I would arrive to set up, how long it would take me to complete, as well as a signed bridal contract by you where I outline my responsibilities. Please see those attached. Blank's family is requesting money back from me to them, and while I have politely declined, it is my hope that you are able to resolve things with them and are also able to move forward with more clear and honest business practices. San Antonio is a very small city, and the wedding community is even more tight-knit, and to make it around here, you have to be honest. I want to make myself clear that I will not be providing any monetary refunds to anyone regarding this situation whatsoever. Because I have a really sneaky suspicion that the family's going to go after her for the money, and she's going to file a chargeback against me because she's going to be out the money, but we'll see. As you know, I invoice through Shopify, and should there be any issues with back charges, I have retained full evidence from you, the mother of the bride, and the photographer. I should have said and the venue because I got footage from the venue, but whatever. And the photographer showing the desserts I provided, exactly how many, and what my obligation to this event was. Please see to it that this issue is resolved swiftly. Best, Melina.
And so she then posted an update TikTok, and this is where I get very confused, okay?
I did speak with Miranda both through email and I did have a phone call with her, and here's the deal. So Miranda emailed me back, and when she emailed me back, she also sent me a copy of the invoice that she sent the bride and groom. So Miranda, essentially, this is what happened. She did not charge the bride and groom. She did not upcharge them $5,000, nor did she ever receive a $500 tip, she says, from the bride and groom that was supposed to come to me or to any of the other vendors. And she did not upcharge them $5,000. She upcharged them about 10%, which is, as I'm to understand, is the industry standard. She's brand new to this business. This was her first client ever. She acknowledged that she shouldn't have taken the client on because this was a really large wedding and a really large undertaking, and she was very inexperienced. So she acknowledged that she shouldn't have taken the client on, and her and I also spoke about the way that she filled my contracts out, the way that she filled my inquiries out and stuff like that, because I told her that it was dishonest, and she said it wasn't necessarily that she was being dishonest, she was just unsure of how to do things, and she didn't want to ask or seem inexperienced because she really wanted the client and she really wanted the order. So instead of reaching out to me or instead of speaking to the bride about any of this, she thought that it would be best to just fill out all the contracts and all the inquiries as if she was the bride herself because she really wanted the order and she was very inexperienced. I did bring up the bridal gift to her, and she apologized profusely, and she said that, again, she just attributed it to her inexperience in the industry.
So apparently the wedding coordinator essentially used the excuse of, I'm inexperienced for everything. How much she charged, supplying the wrong picture, and all this stuff. She basically said this is her first big wedding and she didn't want to sound inexperienced, so she didn't ask any questions. She just kind of did what felt right, and she just did a lot of things wrong. I don't know since when, just being inexperienced, I don't know, just ask questions maybe. So she posts these update TikToks about this wedding coordinator essentially being inexperienced and just doing some things wrong, which is weird in itself, I don't know, but we can kind of let that slide. So there's just a lot happening here, right, with the wedding coordinator being inexperienced and then this money going missing and blah, 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 blah. Now, turns out the bride's mum who reached out to the cake vendor wasn't actually the bride's mum, because the bride's mum is actually deceased. Okay, it was actually the groom's mum, who's a pathological liar and also a scammer, and she tried to scam this cake vendor of some money back by pretending that the wedding coordinator scammed them. And so the bride reached out and said, this is not my mum, this is my husband's mum. She does this a lot, she's a liar. She knows that my mum is deceased. She just wanted some money back, and it was the perfect mix. You were just like the perfect victim because you were there and you were nice and you were on your own, whereas all the other vendors kind of knew the couple, but this vendor was kind of off to her side on her own, so she was an easy victim. And so it just seemed like this perfect storm that she got targeted by this groom's mum who likes scamming people and lying to people.
The mother of the bride. This is where things get so freaking weird. I never heard back from the mother of the bride, as I hoped that I wouldn't, but I did hear from the bride. This is the first contact I've had with the bride. I had no idea who the bride was. I was never given any of her information. I had no way to contact her. I didn't even know her name. So this was the first contact I had with her. She saw my TikTok videos and she did reach out to me via email, and I also had a phone call with her. And this is where things got so weird. The bride reached out, and the mother of the bride is not actually the mother of the bride. She is the groom's mom, so it is the bride's mother-in-law. The bride's mom is actually deceased. She passed away prior to the wedding. The bride said that she is notorious for being a liar, and a lot of the situation that the mother of the bride presented to me was indeed fabricated. She did send me the invoice that Miranda sent her, and it was the same invoice that Miranda sent me. So Miranda was telling the truth about how much she upcharged them, which was the standard 10%, is my understanding that it's the industry standard, and the bride felt okay with it. The bride also told me that she did do the tasting with Miranda, just as Miranda had said. And the bride sent me some pictures of her mother-in-law, and it was the woman that spoke to me at the venue. This woman is not a lawyer. She's not an attorney. She's not even in that field at all. The mother-in-law didn't pay for any of the services. As I understand it, Miranda paid for all of the vendors' services, and she invoiced the bride and groom, and the bride and groom paid Miranda. So the mother-in-law did not give any vendors $500 tips. I also spoke with the bride about Miranda not being at the venue and the whole thing about vendors being expected to stay on the premises till a certain time, even though my contract and none of our contracts stated that. And the bride told me that Miranda was not on the premises of the venue, but that Miranda was helping her with something behind the scenes. Miranda was doing what she was supposed to, and that the bride understood and knew per my contract that I was not going to be staying at the venue, nor were any of the other venues who were not needing to be there all night, such as someone like the DJ who would obviously need to be at the venue in order to provide the service. I did ask the bride why I specifically was targeted, or why, if any of the other vendors experienced this with the mother of the bride, and she said she didn't know, but she feels like I was just an easy target because I was there at the venue alone, setting the desserts up, and nobody was really near me to hear what she was saying and that kind of thing. It was just kind of a perfect storm. I didn't give anyone any money back. The bride was happy with the desserts. She apologized profusely. I don't even really feel like it was hers to apologize for. Miranda apologized profusely for doing things wrong. I feel like she was just kind of inexperienced. I did reach out to some wedding brands, and I was like, hey, want to partner with me? Because how cool would that be, and how perfect would that be? But no one got back to me, so that's fine. But
the only thing I'm very confused about is this cake page isn't providing any really receipts, any pictures, anything really. I mean, I would love to see something. I would love to see some proof of this even happening, because it sounds so convoluted. But if it is true, then it really does sound like almost a true crime Netflix show. I don't know if this all actually happened. wow, what a perfect coincidence of everything falling into place so perfectly. But I'm starting to almost doubt that this all even happened. Is this just some crazy plan to boost her cake page by posting this fake story time? I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised, but I also would be kind of disappointed if that was the case, because obviously we just want these stories to be real and not be falling for fake stories, but because there's not much evidence and this all just seems to be perfectly fitting together, like, oh, only you got scammed because the groom's mum knew that you wouldn't be friends with the couple and so you wouldn't tell. Like, it was all just very, you know, it's all very falling into place coincidentally. But if it is real, then wow, I don't envy the bride for having to then deal with the groom's mum for the rest of their marriage. And I hope that the groom did something about that to maybe mitigate that in the future. But let me know what you guys think. Do you think it's real and this all actually happened? Do you think it's fake and the cake page just wants more views and wants to bring attention to their page to be able to sell more cakes? Do you think it's partly true and then she maybe changed it afterwards to make it sound more interesting? I don't know what you guys think about any of this. So subscribe, hit that bell, like, comment for engagement. I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye guys.